Welcome, fellow dreamer. Tonight, I invite you to join me on a gentle journey back through time, to step inside a leatherworker's shop in a bustling town of medieval Europe. Together, we'll watch as the day unfolds, the soft creak of worn tools, the scent of tanned hide, the careful shaping of boots, belts, and saddles for townsfolk and travelers alike. This is a story of craft, patience, and simple beauty. A glimpse into a world of skilled hands and quiet industry beneath timbered roofs and castle walls. May these images and words guide you softly toward rest. Before we begin, take a moment to dim the lights, settle into a comfortable place, and let yourself drift into the peaceful rhythm of this medieval town. I created this video to help you relax, unwind, and ease gently into sleep. I'd love to know, where in the world are you listening from tonight? Let me know in the comments below. It's always inspiring to see how these stories connect dreamers across the globe. And if you enjoy this journey to the leatherworker's shop, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and tap the bell icon so you'll always have a place to return when you're ready to fall asleep to stories from the past. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and let our journey into the medieval workshop begin. Good morning. You have woken up as a leatherworker and shopkeeper. Your livelihood depends on your hands, your skill, and the trust of your neighbors. Each day you shape and mend boots, belts, saddles, pouches, and other goods that serve both townsfolk and travelers. Your home and shop are one, as is common. The front for trade, the back and upper room for living. Your work is steady and honest, and it is what keeps your household fed and your standing in the town secure. You awaken in the soft hush of early morning. The hearth's warmth of the night has faded, leaving the air cool and faintly scented with wood smoke. The first pale light filters through narrow shutters, casting faint lines upon the stone walls. You lie beneath your woolen blanket for a quiet moment, listening to the gentle sounds beyond. The soft creak of a cart rolling over the cobbles, the distant call of a rooster greeting the dawn, and the murmur of the river as it winds its way beyond the town's edge. The stone floor is cold beneath your feet as you rise. The familiar smell of leather, wood, soot, and oil fills your nose. Your tools rest where you placed them the night before. Awls and knives, needles and thread, a mallet, a jar of beeswax. The bench where you work is smooth with use, the walls hung with coils of leather, finished goods, and bits of scrap that may yet serve a purpose. You cross to the hearth, kneeling to stir the coals back to life. The fire crackles softly, the light growing warmer, chasing away the lingering chill. A pot of water is set to warm, for washing, for a small meal, or for the simple comfort of heat. Next, you unbar the shutters over your shop front. The air outside is fresh and cool, carrying the mixed scents of the town, the sweet hay laid before stables, the sour temps of the tannery not far off, the faint perfume of herbs from a neighbor's window garden. The cobbles glisten with dew, the sky pale with the promise of dawn. Across the way, another shopkeeper opens his shutters, offering a silent nod of greeting. You take up the broom and sweep the threshold. Each stroke is slow, steady, familiar. Bits of straw, dust, and leaves from the night's breeze are cleared away. The shop front is your welcome to the world, and it must be kept clean. You set out a simple display, a stout pair of boots, a coiled belt, a leather pouch polished until it gleams. These small things catch the eye of passersby, reminders of the skill and care that await within. The town begins to stir around you. A baker's boy passes with a basket of warm bread, the smell rich and inviting. A farmer's cart rumbles toward the market square, laden with sacks of grain and baskets of produce. The church bell tolls softly, once, twice, its voice gentle in the morning air, marking the start of the day. Inside, you check your tools and supplies, your hands moving without thought. The blade of your knife is sharp, the wax ready to be softened, the thread strong and smooth. The leather you tanned yourself is supple and well cured, ready to be cut and shaped. The shop is quiet for now, the peace of morning still upon it. Soon your apprentices will arrive, bringing with them the clatter of boots and the eager energy of youth. For now, the quiet is a comfort, a moment to breathe, to prepare, to welcome the day. You break your fast with a piece of bread left from the night before, washing it down with a sip of cool water from the jug. The meal is small but satisfying, enough to carry you into the first hours of work. A larger meal will come later, shared with those under your roof when the sun is higher. Beyond the threshold, the light grows stronger, the town more alive. The sound of voices, the clatter of hooves, the hum of commerce beginning to rise. But here, within your shop, the day starts as it always does, with order, with care, with quiet readiness for what lies ahead. The street outside fills slowly. A woman carries a pail of water from the well. A pair of children chase one another along the lane, their laughter light and free. A dog sniffs at the base of a wall, then lopes off in search of some small adventure. The town's life unfolds as the sun lifts above the rooftops, and your place within it feels steady and sure, as familiar as the tools beneath your hands. You stand at the doorway for a moment longer, watching, listening, breathing the cool air. The day's work will begin soon. The orders to fill, the boots to mend, the belts to cut and stitch, the faces of customers at your door. But for now, in this soft hour of morning, there is only the promise of honest labor, of skill well used, of a trade passed down and kept alive beneath the rising sun. The morning deepens, and the pale gold of the sun spills across the town's rooftops. The quiet hush of dawn begins to give way to the small, steady sounds of daily life. From beyond the shop front, you hear the clearer notes of voices calling to one another. The rhythmic clop of hooves along the cobbles, the creak of carts making their way to market. The smell of baking bread drifts stronger now on the breeze, mingling with the faint temps of leather and wood smoke that always lingers near your shop. Within your walls, the air grows warmer as the hearth fire burns brighter. The first pieces of work for the day are laid out on your bencher belt to finish stitching. A pair of boots to be mended, the supple length of leather you plan to cut for a new order. Your tools wait, each in its place. The awl, the knife, the beeswax, the heavy shears. You take a moment to breathe the familiar scent of the shop. Leather warmed by the sun, beeswax softening near the hearth, a faint note of ash from the night's embers. Soon, you hear footsteps in the alley beyond the shop. The apprentices are arriving. The sound is distinct boots, worn thin from daily use. The eager but careful gait of boys and young men, still learning their craft, still finding their way in the world of work. The door opens with a gentle knock and creak, and in they come, faces fresh from the morning air, hands folded in respect as they offer quiet greetings. The apprentices move with purpose, trained by your hand to know the morning tasks without the need for words. The youngest sweeps the floor again, though you did so at dawn, the dust from the street. Another checks the water warming at the hearth, ensuring it is ready for softening the waxed thread and dampening the hides. The eldest apprentice examines the tools, laying out those that will be needed first, and sharpening the blade of the knife with slow, careful strokes upon the whetstone. You watch them for a moment, their movements sure, their faces serious, in the way of young men who wish to earn your approval. They are not sons by blood, but they are part of your household in all ways that matter. You remember when they first arrived, nervous and eager, their hands unskilled, their eyes wide at the sight of the tools and goods of your trade. Now they are growing into their work, and you feel a quiet pride at their progress. Beyond the shop, the town grows busier still. You hear a call from a merchant urging his mule forward, the clatter of a bucket at the well, the shrill call of a trader announcing fresh fish from the river. The market square is coming to life, and with it, your own day's business will soon begin in earnest. Your family stirs in the rooms beyond. The soft murmur of voices, the quiet clatter of a pot set upon the small hearth at the back of the house, the comforting smell of porridge and herbs drifts into the shop. Your household is simple but steady. A spouse tending the morning meal, a child still too young for the tasks of the workshop. You pause to greet them, your hand resting gently upon the child's head, offering a few soft words, a smile that belongs only to these quiet, private moments. Then you turn again to your trade as the first customer of the day appears at the threshold. It is a neighbor, an older man whose boots have seen many seasons. He enters with a nod, lifting the worn footwear in his hands, explaining in quiet tones where the stitching has come loose, where the sole has begun to wear thin. You listen with care, inspecting the boots, your fingers skilled at finding the weaknesses, the places where your craft will mend and strengthen. A fair price is agreed upon without fuss, the kind that comes from long familiarity. He leaves the boots in your care, and you promise they will be ready before the next market day. Another visitor soon follows a servant in the livery of a wealthier household, carrying a fine leather belt that has broken near its fastening. The work will require care, precision, and time. You discuss the repair respectfully, knowing the household from which the belt comes, aware that your reputation rests upon both your skill and your honesty. The servant departs, his errand done, and you set the belt upon the bench to be tended in its turn. The apprentices begin their work in earnest. The youngest is given small tasks, cutting simple strips, softening leather in water, tidying scraps. The older boys take on greater duties, stitching, trimming, polishing. You oversee all your eyes and hands, guiding where needed. Your words few but firm, offering correction or praise as fits the moment. The shop grows warm with the morning's labor. The sun has risen fully now, casting bright squares of light upon the floor through the open shutters. The sounds of the town fill the air, but within these walls there is only the steady rhythm of honest work, the soft rasp of the knife through leather, the quiet thump of the mallet, the gentle creak of a stool as an apprentice shifts his weight. Time passes, marked not by the ringing of clocks, but by the growing pile of finished goods, the soft sheen of polished leather, the satisfaction of a task well done. From time to time, you glance up to see the street beyond, where the flow of life continues. A group of townsfolk passes, chatting softly. A cart laden with sacks of flour rolls toward the baker's shop. The bell from the church tower tolls the hour its voice deep and steady. The apprentices look to you as the bell's sound fades. It is time for a brief pause, a sip of water, a stretch of arms and legs, a quiet moment to wipe hands clean and take a breath before the work resumes. You nod, and they step outside into the sunlight for a few moments, their voices low, their faces relaxed, their bonds with one another shaped by the shared labor of the day. You remain at the bench, your hands resting upon the smooth grain of the wood, your eyes upon the tools and goods of your trade. The morning rush has passed, the rhythm of the day is set, and all is as it should be. Outside, the town hums with life. Inside, the shop is filled with the quiet strength of work, done with care, with skill, with pride. The morning's first tasks in the shop are well underway. The apprentices work steadily, their hands familiar with the weight of tools, the texture of leather, the careful pull of thread through softened hide. The shop smells of warm beeswax and dampened leather, the air inside growing thick with the quiet rhythm of labor. You pause, wiping your hands upon a clean cloth, and glance out through the open shutters at the sunlit street beyond. There are errands to see to, conversations to have, and goods to fetch or deliver. You step outside, leaving the apprentices to their tasks, their work watched over by your eldest, who needs no reminder of his duty. The air outside is bright and clear, touched with the crispness that lingers after dawn. The breeze carries the mingled scents of the town, bread baking in the ovens, smoke from countless hearths, the sharp temps forge down the lane. Your boots tap a steady rhythm on the cobbles as you walk, familiar beneath your feet, worn smooth by generations of passage. The street is narrow, the houses and shops close on either side, their upper stories leaning inward, their windows small and shuttered against the sun's glare. Overhead, banners stir gently in the breeze, bright with the colors of the town, the guilds. Neighbors greet you as you pass, a nod from the cooper's wife, her arms full of kindling, a quiet word from the tailor's apprentice, carrying a bundle of cloth to his master's shop. The town is small enough that faces are known, names familiar. The rhythm of trade and craft binds you all together, the work of many hands weaving the fabric of daily life. You follow the winding street as it opens onto the market square, a broad, sunlit space at the heart of the town. The square is alive with sound and color, with movement and purpose. Stalls are set in orderly rows, their canopies of canvas or woven reed casting patches of shade upon tables laden with goods. Merchants and farmers call out their wares, onions in woven baskets, skeins of dyed wool, jugs of fresh milk, rough loaves of bread, salted fish, pots of honey. The smell of herbs mingles with that of straw and animals, with the yeasty scent of beer being poured at a stall near the tavern. Carts stand near the edges of the square, their drivers tending to mules or oxen, unloading goods or resting a moment in the sun. Children dart between the stalls, chasing one another in play or running errands for their mothers. The clang of the smith's hammer rings out faintly from a forge just beyond the square. A dog lies dozing in a patch of shade, its ears twitching at the sounds around it. You move slowly through the market, your eyes taking in the goods on offer. A potter sets out his wares, simple bowls and jugs, their surfaces glazed in soft hues of green and brown. A weaver displays lengths of cloth, the colors rich in the sun. The baker's boy tends a stall of small pies, their crusts golden, their smell inviting. Here, trade is not rushed. A word is exchanged, a price considered, a nod given. The pace is steady, unhurried, shaped by the knowledge that there will always be need, always be work, always be another market day. You pause to greet a fellow craftsman, a shoemaker whose stall stands near the center of the square. He offers a respectful nod, his hands busy polishing a finished pair of boots, the leather gleaming in the light. A few quiet words are exchanged, news of the town, of business, of the season's trade. There is comfort in the familiarity of such conversations, in the knowledge that others share in the same labors, the same hopes, the same small challenges of daily life. At one end of the square rises the Guildhall, its stone walls cool in the sun, its narrow windows glinting. The Guildhall is the heart of trade in the town, the place where rules are set, where disputes are settled, where the honor of the craft is guarded. You glance at its solid form and feel the quiet reassurance of belonging, of knowing your place within an order that stretches beyond yourself, beyond this day, beyond this generation. The church tower rises nearby, its bell silent now, but its presence steady. The church watches over the market as it watches over all things in the town. Its doors stand open, and the faint scent of incense drifts out upon the breeze. A group of women enters, baskets in hand, pausing for a prayer before turning to their errands. The square, the church, the Guildhall, woven together, each part of the pattern that gives meaning to life here. You stop at a stall to inspect a bundle of flax thread, running the fibers between your fingers, testing its strength and smoothness. A fair price is offered, and the exchange is made with quiet words of thanks. At another stall, you purchase a small pot of oil, its scent sharp and clean, useful for softening leather, for keeping your tools in good order. The coins pass from your hand to the merchants, their weight familiar, their value well considered. As you make your way back toward the edge of the square, the sights and sounds of the market stay with you, the soft murmur of voices, the clink of coins, the lowing of an ox, the creak of a cart's wheel. The sun climbs higher, casting strong light and deep shadow upon the cobbles. The breeze stirs the banners, flutters the edges of the stall canopies, carries with it the music of the town's life. You walk slowly back along the street that leads to your shop. The apprentices will be at their work, the tasks of the morning well begun. The tools await your hand. The goods of the market's simple things, useful things, will find their place upon your bench, ready to serve their purpose. The market square fades behind you, but its rhythm remains part of the larger rhythm of the town, of trade, of the steady, enduring pattern of the life you know so well. And as you near your door, the shop front comes into view, the familiar curve of the threshold, the open shutters, the scent of leather warm in the sun. The apprentices glance up as you enter, their faces bright with purpose. The day's work continues, as it always does, in harmony with the world beyond. The morning's errands are complete. The goods you needed from the market rest now upon your workbench, the flax thread, the small pot of oil, a length of coarse linen for wrapping finished wares. The apprentices have returned to their tasks, heads bent, hands steady, voices low as they work together. The shop smells of leather, warmed by the sun, of beeswax, softening near the hearth, of wood smoke and oil. The tools are in motion once, again the soft rasp of the knife through hide, the measured thump of the mallet, the quiet creak of the stool as you shift your weight at the bench. But soon, duty calls you beyond the walls of your shop. The guild meets today, as it does every so often, gathering its masters within the hall that stands at the edge of the market square. It is not a summons of urgency, but a steady obligation, a time to speak of the craft, to hear the news of trade, to settle matters large and small that touch upon your work and the work of others like you. The guild is the shield that guards your livelihood, the foundation upon which your reputation rests. The walk to the guild hall is short. The market square is quieter now than it was at dawn. The first bustle of the morning has eased into a slower rhythm. Traders tend their stalls with less urgency. Customers linger over goods. The smell of cooked meats rises from a cookshop at the square's edge. The sun casts bright light upon the cobbles, upon the walls of the church, upon the pale stone of the guild hall itself. The hall is a solid, plain building. Its strength lies not in ornament, but in its purpose. Its doorway is arched, the wooden door thick and bound with iron. Above, a simple carving marks the building as the house of your craft. A symbol of leatherwork, a knife, a mallet, a stretched hide. The door stands open, welcoming those who belong, those who share in the ancient, unbroken chain of the trade. Inside, the hall is cool, the air touched with the faint scent of wood smoke and old stone. The floor is of worn flagstone, the walls hung with banners that bear the marks of the guild, the names of past masters, the emblems of the craft. A long table runs down the center of the room, benches set upon either side. A hearth glows at the far end, its flames low but steady. The light from narrow windows falls in soft shafts upon the stone, upon the polished surface of the table, upon the faces of those who have gathered. You take your place among them, offering a nod, a quiet word of greeting. The faces around you are known, fellow masters, men who have shared in the labors of the trade for years, some for decades. There are old hands, their hair gone gray, their fingers marked by long use. There are younger men, too, their eyes bright with ambition, eager to prove themselves, to earn and guard the good name that comes with guild membership. The meeting begins with no great ceremony, no flourish of word or gesture. The guild is a place of order, of fairness, of steady purpose. Matters are brought forth in turn. A question of price is discussed, whether the cost of a pair of boots should be raised slightly to match the rising cost of leather brought in from the countryside. A dispute between two masters is laid out. Each speaks his part, calmly, without haste, and those gathered weigh the matter with care. A decision is reached, a fair settlement offered, accepted with a nod. No loud voices, no anger. The guild keeps peace among its own. Other matters follow. News of trade beyond the town, word that a shipment of fine leather is expected soon from the tanners near the great river. A reminder that apprentices must be registered with the guild, that their training must be true to the craft's standards. A notice of a feast to come, where all will gather to give thanks for the year's labor, to honor the craft and the hands that keep it strong. As you sit among your fellows, you feel the quiet strength of belonging. The guild is not just a body of men, but a safeguard for the work you do. It ensures fair price and honest dealing. It protects against those who would undercut or deceive. It upholds the standards that give your trade its worth. To belong to the guild is to be part of something larger than yourself, larger than your shop, larger even than this town. It is a tie that binds you to the past, to those who taught you, to those you now teach, to those who will one day take your place. When the business of the meeting is done, the gathering does not break at once. There is time for quiet talk, for the sharing of news, for the exchange of small favors or promises. Another mentions a supplier with good hides at fair price, and you thank him, making a note to inquire when next you have need. At last the masters rise, and the meeting ends. You step out into the bright sun of the square once more, the coolness of the hall falling away behind you. The market continues its quiet business. The church bell tolls the hour. The town hums with the steady sound of daily life. As you walk back to your shop, you feel the weight of duty fulfilled, of ties strengthened. It is as much a part of your trade as the tools upon your bench, as the leather beneath your hands. Your reputation rests upon these bonds, upon your skill, upon your fairness, upon your respect for the craft and for those who share it. The guild watches, remembers, guards, and so do you. Your shop comes into view, the open shutters bright in the sun, the familiar scent of leather and smoke reaching you on the breeze. The apprentices glance up as you enter, their faces steady, their hands returning to their work. The tools are ready, the goods await. The day's labor continues, shaped by duty, by skill, by the quiet honor of the craft. The church bell tolls the hour, its deep notes carried on the breeze that drifts through the open shutters of your shop. The apprentices pause at the sound, their hands resting upon tools, their faces lifting from their work. The morning has been long and steady. The sun now stands high above the rooftops, casting strong light upon the cobbled streets and warming the stone walls of the town. The market square hums with a quieter energy as traders and townsfolk pause for their midday meal. Within the shop, the air is warm from the hearth and from the morning's labor. The scent of leather and beeswax mingles with the faint smoke of the fire, with the sharper tang of oil used to keep tools in good order. The apprentices look to you, waiting for the signal that the work may rest for a while, that hands may be cleaned, that the midday meal may be taken in peace. You set down your tools, your awl, your knife, your shears, and wipe your hands upon a cloth. The apprentices follow your lead, placing their work aside with care, their faces showing the quiet satisfaction of tasks well begun, of stitches clean and true, of leather shaped with skill. Together, you leave the shop's front, stepping into the room beyond, where the simple meal awaits. The room is cool and shaded, the thick stone walls keeping the heat of the day at bay. A table of plain wood stands at its center, worn smooth by years of use, its surface scarred by the marks of countless knives, bowls, and platters. Upon it are set the day's fare, a round of coarse bread, its crust dark and firm, a small wheel of cheese, sharp and crumbly, a bowl of boiled beans, seasoned with herbs from the small garden that grows behind the house, a jug of ale, cool and dark, drawn from the cask that rests in the corner. The meal is simple, as it always is, but good and honest, drawn from the work of your hands and the bounty of the town and countryside. There is no feast, no excess, only what is needed to ease hunger, to refresh body and spirit, to carry you through the labors of the afternoon. You sit, and the apprentices take their places beside you. The youngest waits for your word before tearing a piece of bread from the loaf, before cutting a slice of cheese, before dipping a spoon into the bowl of beans. The meal begins with few words, the sounds of eating soft and steady, the crunch of bread, the scrape of a knife upon wood, the quiet clink of a cup set down upon the table's surface. From beyond the open doorway comes the sound of the town at rest. A dog barks once, then falls silent, The faint bleating of a goat drifts on the air from a yard nearby. The voices of neighbors reach you, low and unhurried, as they share their own meals, as they pause in the shade of their homes or the awnings of the market stalls. You take a sip of ale that tastes bitter and cool, the weight of the cup solid in your hand. The apprentices do the same, their faces eased of the focus of the morning, their shoulders relaxed, their voices low as they speak of small things, the piece of work that came out well, the market stall that caught the eye, the news of the town that passed from mouth to ear along the street. The meal passes quietly. There is no hurry. The bread is shared, the cheese portioned with care, the bowl of beans emptied spoon by spoon. When all have eaten their fill, the youngest clears the table, gathering the wooden bowls, the cups, the knife that served for cutting bread and cheese alike. He carries them to the small basin at the side of the room, pours in water from the jug, and begins to clean them with a cloth of coarse linen. The apprentices step outside for a moment, into the small yard behind the shop, where a fig tree casts soft shade upon the worn stones. They stretch their arms, their legs, their bodies made stiff from the morning's labor. Their voices drift back to Yulo, companionable, unhurried as they speak together, as they share the bond of shared work, of shared meal, of shared purpose. Within the cool of the house, you remain for a moment longer at the table. The silence is deep and easy. The air smells of wood smoke and bread, of herbs that hang in bundles from the beams above. The light that filters through the small window is soft now, touched with the golden hue of afternoon's edge. You rest your hands upon the table's surface, feeling the grain of the wood beneath your fingers, feeling the simple comfort of stillness, of pause. Then you step outside as well, into the yard where the apprentices linger, where the air is filled with the quiet hum of bees among the fig tree's leaves. The sun's heat lies heavy upon the stones, but the shade is cool, the breeze gentle as it stirs the branches. You sit upon the low bench that stands against the wall, and for a few moments you allow the peace of midday to settle over you. The town beyond is quiet in this hour. The market hums with softer sounds now, the traders resting, the customers few. The church bell is silent, waiting for the next hour to mark its passing. The river, hidden beyond the houses, flows steady and unseen, its voice too faint to reach you here. The world seems to slow, to breathe, to wait. Your eyes close for a moment. The weight of the morning's work, the warmth of the sun, the stillness of the yard, they all draw you toward rest. Not sleep, perhaps, but a soft drift of thought, of memory, of simple presence in this place, in this hour. You think of the work done, of the work still to come, of the small blessings of the day, the fair price paid for thread at the market, the good leather ready for cutting, the stitches laid clean and true upon the morning's boots. The world beyond seems distant, held at bay by the stone walls of the yard, by the comfort of routine, by the shared bond of craft and purpose. In time, the bell will toll again, the tools will be taken up, the work will resume. But for now, there is only the quiet, the rest, the simple satisfaction of a meal shared, of labor honest and true, of the steady turning of the day beneath the wide and endless sky. The apprentices rise from the bench where they had rested, their faces still touched by the ease of the noonday shade. You rise as well, your hands brushing the dust from your tunic, your body readjusting to the rhythm of work. The sun now hangs high and bright, casting strong light across the yard, warming the stone beneath your feet. stirring the leaves of the fig tree with a breeze that feels both fresh and faintly heavy with the scent of earth and growing things. The apprentices return to the shop, their boots tapping lightly upon the worn threshold. You follow, stepping into the familiar space where your trade lives and breathes, where the tools of your craft wait upon the bench, where the smell of leather, beeswax, and wood smoke welcomes you once more. The air inside is warm, but shaded from the full force of the sun. The tools are where you left them, the awl, the knife, the mallet, the waxed thread coiled neatly, the shears resting at the bench's edge, the boots that need mending, the belt that must be repaired, the pouch to be cut and stitched. They await your hands, patient, as if they know that skill takes time and care. The apprentices take up their tasks once more, the youngest trimming scraps for use as patches, the older boy working a seam, his needles steady, his stitches even. The soft sounds of labor fill the shop, the quiet snip of shears, the low scrape of knife upon hide, the faint creak of leather drawn taut. Your own hands move with practiced ease, shaping, cutting, sewing, the work both familiar and endlessly new, each piece its own small challenge, its own small triumph when done well. Not long into the afternoon, a figure appears at the threshold, a traveler, his cloak dusty from the road, his boots worn, his face shadowed by the brim of his hat. He carries with him a saddle, its leather cracked, its stitching frayed, the marks of hard use plain upon its surface. His voice is polite but weary as he lays out his need. The saddle must be mended before he can continue his journey. You examine the saddle closely. The leather is dry, the stitching loose. It will take time to clean, to soften, to repair. You set it upon the bench, your fingers running over its worn surface, your mind already measuring the steps needed to make it strong again, to give it new life. The apprentice nearest you watches closely, learning without needing to ask, his eyes following the path of your hands, the choices you make as you begin the work. Outside, the town hums with the slower rhythm of the afternoon. The market square has quieted further. The greatest rush of trade has passed. The voices that reach you through the open shutters are low, the sounds of the street softened by distance and by heat. A dog barks once, then settles. A cart rattles past, the driver's voice raised briefly to steady his mule. A knock at the door draws your gaze. A man enters, a tax collector, his tunic bearing the mark of the Lord's steward. His manner is polite, his words formal. He speaks of the dues owed by the town's tradesmen, the small sums gathered to keep the peace, to maintain the roads, to ensure the market's protection. You nod, offer what is due, the weight of the coins familiar in your hand, their value earned by the honest labor of your craft. The exchange is simple, without quarrel. He offers a word of thanks, a respectful nod, and departs, his steps fading into the quiet of the street. You return to your work, your mind clear. Such duties are part of life, as natural as the rising of the sun, as certain as the need for food and rest. The coins leave your hand, but the worth of your labor remains, renewed with each stitch, each cut, each piece shaped by your skill. As the afternoon deepens, the light within the shop shifts, growing softer, more golden. The air cools slightly as the sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon. The apprentices continue their tasks, their voices low as they speak of the work, of small things seen at market, of news heard upon the street. You guide them with quiet words, a nod here, a correction there, your presence steady. your eye upon the craft that binds you all. From time to time, you step to the doorway to rest your gaze upon the street beyond, to draw in a breath of the fresh air that carries the scent of distant fields, of the river that flows beyond the town's edge. You see neighbors passing, a farmer leading a weary mule, a woman carrying a basket of herbs, a child chasing a hoop along the lane, laughter rising bright and brief upon the afternoon breeze. Back at your bench, you continue your work upon the saddle, upon the boots left for mending, upon the belt that needed repair. The tasks are many, but the pace is steady, the labor honest and good. The tools rest easy in your hands. The leather softens beneath your touch. The stitches bind tight and true. Each piece completed is set aside with care, ready for the owner who will come to claim it. The shadows lengthen upon the shop floor, and the coolness of evening's promise drifts in through the open shutters. The apprentices look to you, knowing that soon the time will come to put aside tools, to tidy the bench, to bring the day's labors to a close. But not yet, not just yet. There is still light enough for a few more stitches, for a few more careful cuts, for the small, and so the afternoon passes, not in haste, not in worry, but in the quiet certainty of hands at work, of tools well used, of challenges met and answered with skill and care beneath the slowly setting sun. The light within your shop grows soft and golden as the sun begins its slow descent behind the rooftops. The long afternoon has passed in quiet labor, and now the shadows stretch across the cobbled streets, creeping gently over the worn threshold of your doorway, over the smooth stones of the floor, over the tools laid carefully upon your bench. The warmth of the day fades, replaced by the cool breath of evening drifting in through the open shutters. The apprentices glance to you, their hands slowing, their voices hushed. They, too, sense the closing of the day. You nod to them with a small, steady gesture, and they begin the familiar tasks that end each day's work. The tools are gathered, wiped clean of dust and oil, returned to their rightful places along the walls or upon the shelves. The scraps of leather are collected into neat piles, those that can be used again set aside. The workbench is cleared, its surface brushed clean, the marks of the day's labor smoothed away beneath careful hands. Outside, the town quiets. The clatter of carts fades as the last traders return home from the market square. The voices of neighbors float softly on the evening air, calling to children, bidding good night to friends, exchanging the final words of the day. The bell of the church tolls the hour, its tone deep and rich, echoing through the narrow streets, reminding all within hearing that night approaches, that rest will soon claim the town. You step to the doorway, leaning for a moment against the frame, feeling the coolness of the wood beneath your hand. The breeze is light and fresh, carrying the mingled scents of the town at dusk, wood smoke rising from hearths, bread baking in the last of the ovens, the faint sweetness of hay from the stables beyond the square. The sky above deepens from gold to rose to the softest blue, and the first star appears, pale and small, against the vastness of the coming night. With slow, practiced care, you begin to close the shop. The goods displayed upon the small bench outside, the boots, the belt, the pouch, are gathered and brought inside, checked for dust, for damp, for any sign of wear, then placed upon their shelves to wait for the morrow. The shutters are drawn closed across the windows, their heavy wood creaking gently as they swing into place. The bar is set across the door, firm and strong. the mark of a day's work ended, of a home secured against the dark. The apprentices finish their tasks and look to you once more. You offer quiet thanks, words of praise for work well done, for care taken, for duties fulfilled. They smile, small and proud, their hearts eased by your approval, their minds at peace with the honest labor of the day. The tools hang upon the walls in neat rows. The workbench rests empty and clean. The hearth glows softly with the last of the day's coals. The space feels quiet now, but not lonely, a place of order, of care, of steady purpose, held at rest until morning comes again. You wash your hands at the small basin near the hearth, the water cool against your skin, the simple act of cleansing, marking the end of the day's labors. You wipe them dry upon a cloth of coarse linen, fold it with care, and set it aside. The shop is at peace, your mind is clear. The world beyond the walls of your trade calls gently to you, inviting you to share in the quiet life of the town as night falls. Stepping out into the street, you draw in a deep breath of the cool air, feeling the soft chill of evening upon your face, upon your hands. The cobbles beneath your boots are worn smooth by time, by countless footsteps, by the slow passage of the days and years. The town feels smaller now, more intimate beneath the growing dark, as lanterns flicker to life in windows and doorways, as voices soften, as the bustle of day gives way to the stillness of night. You walk slowly, unhurried, your path leading you toward the market square, toward the heart of the town, where the last of the traders pack away their goods, where neighbors linger in quiet conversation, where the glow of tavern lamps spills warm light upon the stones. The square feels different, at night temptier, gentler, the sharp edges of commerce softened by the dusk. You pause at the church, its doors still open, the faint scent of incense drifting upon the breeze. You step inside for a moment, your boots echoing softly upon the stone floor, your gaze lifting to the simple beauty of the space, the wooden beams of the roof, the worn pews, the candlelight flickering upon the altar. You offer a prayer, silent and steady, a word of thanks for the day's labor, for the strength of your hands, for the peace of the town. Your heart feels light as you turn to go, the quiet of the place filling you with calm, with a sense of belonging, of order, of harmony beneath the wide night sky. Outside again, you continue your walk, passing neighbors who greet you with nods, with soft words, with smiles that speak of shared experience, of shared place. The tavern's open door reveals the glow of firelight, the low hum of conversation, the clink of mugs raised in quiet celebration of the day's end. But you do not linger long. Your steps lead you home, back along the familiar street where your shop stands waiting, its shutters closed, its doorway dark, its heart at rest. The stars above shine brighter now, scattered across the dark velvet of the sky, their light gentle, their presence eternal. You pause at your doorway, your hand resting upon the wood, feeling the strength of it, the security it offers, the simple comfort of a place well kept, of work well done. The night has come, and with it, the promise of rest, of renewal, of another day to follow, shaped by the same steady hands, the same honest labor, the same quiet care that guides you now. And so you step inside, drawing the door closed behind you, leaving the world of the town to its slumber, returning to the peace of your own hearth, to the stillness that waits within, to the gentle, enduring rhythm of life beneath the stars. You step quietly into your home as the door clicks softly shut behind you. The evening air lingers on your skin for a moment, cool and sweet, before the calm warmth of the house envelopes you again. Inside, the glow of a single candle flickers gently atop the small table near the hearth, casting long, soft shadows that shift upon the stone walls. Its warmth ebbing into the stillness of the room. The shutters are closed now. The outside world, its voices, its carts, its laughter and footsteps has grown quiet. The streets beyond are dark, save for the occasional flicker of torchlight from a tavern door or a lantern hung from a neighbor's post. You are alone now, not in loneliness, but in peace. You move slowly through the space, your steps soft, your hands trailing across the familiar edges of furniture and beams, across the wooden back of the chair where you sit each night, across the table where meals are shared and thoughts quietly passed from one heart to another. The room smells faintly of herbs, lavender, sage, rosemary hung from the rafters to dry in neat bundles, their scent deepened by the heat of the day and the quiet breath of the fire. You reach for the cup left on the shelf and fill it from a small jug wine or ale, just a little, something warm and steady to sip as the night wraps around your home. You carry it with you as you settle into the low wooden chair beside the hearth. Its surface is smooth from years of use, shaped by your own hands in quiet hours long past. The candlelight dances gently against the walls. The flame sways as if in rhythm with your breath, your thoughts, the slowing of the world. You sit there for a time in silence, listening. The creak of the rafters, the soft shift of air through the gaps in the shutters, the low crackle of dying embers. All around you, the world has hushed itself. The town has gone to sleep, and you are its witness, still awake, still present, watching over the last moment of the day. Your thoughts drift, not in haste, but slowly, like smoke curling from the end of a candle wick. You think of the work done, the boots stitched tight and true, the saddle repaired and waiting for the traveler, the apprentices learning by your side. You think of the guild hall, the quiet dignity of the gathering, the long thread of tradition that runs through your hands and into those of others. You think of the tools now resting on their hooks, of the scraps and offcuts that will become something useful tomorrow, and the steady rhythm of a life made by hand, by heart, by habit. Outside, the wind stirs gently against the walls, whispering through the shutters. The stars above the town shine unseen, but you feel their presence, eternal and distant, a quiet comfort. The moon, full and round, sends down a cold silver light that brushes the rooftops, the bell tower, the empty market stalls below. You drink slowly from your cup. The warmth spreads through you, calming, familiar. Your limbs grow heavy with the promise of rest. The candle burns lower, its light dimming but still steady. You let your head rest back against the wood of the chair and close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep quite yet, but simply to be still, to breathe. In the quiet, your thoughts drift deeper. You think of those who came before you, your own master, long gone now, whose voice still echoes in your memory from time to time. You remember the first time your hands held the all alone, the first stitch made without guidance. You think of the years that passed, the lessons learned not only in trade, but in patience, in honesty, in care. You think, too, of what may come. The apprentice who shows promise, who may one day stand where you now stand. The shop, perhaps passed down. The guild that will go on. The town that will outlast even your longest days. And this thought brings comfort, not sadness. You are part of something lasting, not grand, perhaps, not loud, but steady, meaningful, real. You carry the candle with you as you cross the room. The stairs creak beneath your feet as you ascend, not loud, just enough to remind you that even the wood has its voice, its memory of all the days and nights it has held you. The loft above is simple, familiar. A bed with wool blankets, a small table, a chest with a few folded garments. Nothing extravagant, but nothing is lacking. Everything here is earned, is useful, is yours. You sit on the edge of the bed, your hands resting in your lap, your breathing easy. The silence is complete now. Even the wind has stilled. Even the stars seem to listen. The wool is scratchy in the way that always comforts a reminder of warmth, of weight, of stillness. The pillow cradles your head. You sigh deep and slow, your breath a whisper into the quiet room. And you, craftsman, guild member, business owner, keeper of tools, and traditioner, ready for sleep. You think one last thought before the dark takes you, that the world is made not only by kings and soldiers and scholars, but by hands like yours hands, that stitch and saw and shape, that guide apprentices, that lift shutters in the morning and bar them at night. A quiet pride settles over you, not boastful, not loud, just solid, true, enduring. And then, with the candle flickering its last, you close your eyes. The night takes you gently. The town sleeps. The work will wait. You rest.